It is 5 in the morning. Beneath this tranquil veil of mist, a prehistoric river is waking up. A place where gentle giants navigate a labyrinth of ancient predators. This is the Florida Everglades, a fragile, slow-moving river of grass. Over the next 14 hours, we will watch the heat rise, the water boil with life, and witness the chilling transformation that occurs when the sun finally disappears beneath the sawgrass. Before the sun breaks the horizon, the Florida Everglades is a realm of shadows and fog. At 5 o'clock in the morning, a thick, cool mist blankets the slow-moving freshwater marsh and flooded ancient cypress swamps. This is a vast, prehistoric wetland where the slow rhythm of the water dictates the pace of existence. The dark, tannin-stained channels hold ancient secrets. In the pre-dawn stillness, the deep, resonating call of a bullfrog cuts through the heavy air, answered by the delicate, high-pitched trill of a green tree frog resting upon a dew-covered blade of grass. These amphibians are the first voices of the dawn chorus, heralding the transition from night to day. Beneath the mirrored surface of the black water, an American alligator drifts silently. It is a master of this environment, perfectly adapted to this submerged world. Only its cold, unblinking eyes and armored snout breach the surface. As the mist slowly dissipates, the pale gray light reveals the immense scale of this wetland, an ecosystem driven by a delicate balance of survival. Not far from the alligators, a gentle giant emerges. A Florida manatee breaches the surface, releasing a deep, explosive exhalation that echoes across the quiet waters. This massive marine mammal takes a slow breath of the cool morning air before sinking gracefully back into the submerged meadows. Following her is a small calf, learning the paths through the murky depths. They share these waterways with relics of the past. Hovering motionless in the water column is the alligator gar, an armored, needle-toothed fish perfectly adapted to the swamp. The dawn brings activity to the shallow mudflats. A towering great blue heron stalks with absolute precision, its long legs moving silently through the shallows, while a flock of vibrant roseate spoonbills sweeps their unique spatula-shaped bills back and forth through the muddy sediment, filtering out their morning meal. As the morning progresses toward 8 o'clock, the overcast sky brightens into a soft, diffused gray, bringing warmth to the humid air. This subtropical wilderness begins to awaken, bursting with high energy and vitality, showcasing an incredible level of biodiversity. This is a crucial window for foraging before the intense heat sets in. On the dry, elevated banks, a stealthy feline observes the changing tide. A Florida panther steps silently through the dry brush and twisted roots. Its golden eyes scan the water's edge, a silent witness to the bustling ecosystem below. Down on the muddy shoreline, a nimble raccoon meticulously washes a freshly caught apple snail, its delicate paws working quickly to extract the rich protein hidden within the thick brown shell. The water itself seems to vibrate with life. Suddenly, the deep, thunderous bellow of a dominant bull American alligator shatters the morning calm. The low-frequency rumble is so powerful, it literally causes the water droplets on the creature's armored back to dance and erupt into tiny geysers. This territorial broadcast serves as a stark reminder of the primal law that governs this wetland. Startled by the sound, a sleek river otter pauses its grooming on a fallen log, its whiskers twitching before it slips silently back into the safety of the dark water. In the dense aquatic vegetation, the manatee herds are actively feeding. They consume massive quantities of submerged weeds, their prehensile lips working tirelessly to sustain their incredible bulk. Nearby, a venomous cottonmouth snake undulates gracefully across the top of the water, its thick, heavy body carving a perfect S shape as it navigates between floating lily pads. Even the ancient snapping turtle, with its spiked, mud-caked shell, emerges from the shallows, pulling its heavy body onto the bank to soak in the ambient warmth. Every creature, from the microscopic to the monolithic, is locked in a relentless drive to survive, utilizing the morning's favorable conditions to fuel their existence. By noon, the atmosphere in the Florida Everglades undergoes a dramatic shift. The soft, overcast light flattens, and the entire wetland biome reaches a suffocating, oppressive peak of humidity. The intense heat dictates a new rhythm, the rhythm of conservation. Movement slows to an absolute crawl. The once bustling mudflats and shallow channels become scenes of immense, sluggish stupor. The American alligators, ectothermic creatures unable to regulate their own body temperatures internally, stretch out completely on the drying mud banks. These cold-blooded reptiles open their massive, bone-crushing jaws wide to the stagnant air, gaping to release the accumulated heat from their dark, armored bodies. Others seek refuge in the water, sinking deep into the coolest, darkest trenches of the navigable channels, leaving only their nostrils exposed. The Florida softshell turtle buries its pancake-like leathery body deep into the wet sand at the water's edge, blending perfectly into the shoreline to escape the punishing elements. Above the water, perched upon a bleached, dead cypress snag, an anhinga holds its dark wings fully spread. Unlike other water birds, its feathers are not fully waterproof, allowing it to dive deep, but forcing it to stand motionless in the heavy air to dry its plumage. Beneath the surface, the manatees have halted their endless grazing. Entire pods sink to the sandy riverbed, resting in a massive, peaceful cluster. They enter a state of suspended animation, rising only slightly to take incredibly slow, drawn-out breaths. In these deeper pockets of water, a large bowfin fish navigates the murky gloom, passing by the resting mammals. A largemouth bass hovers effortlessly in the shade of a floating log, conserving its explosive energy for the cooling hours. Further out, where the fresh water meets the brackish water of the coast, the environment transitions into a tangled labyrinth of red mangrove roots. Here, a colossal American crocodile lies perfectly still on a white sandbank. Paler and more reclusive than its alligator cousins, it rests with its jaws open, completely unbothered by the crushing stillness of the estuary. The entire ecosystem has essentially paused, surviving the harshest hours of the day through absolute stillness and patience. As the afternoon stretches towards 4 o'clock, the intense grip of the heat finally begins to loosen. The flat, overcast sky takes on warm, muted tones, and a gentle, cooling breeze begins to rustle through the endless expanse of the sawgrass prairie. This subtle shift in the atmosphere is the signal the ecosystem has been waiting for. The swamp takes a collective breath, and the machinery of life starts to turn once again. The giant alligators rouse from their slumber. With effortless power, they slide their massive, heavy bodies down the slick, muddy embankments, slipping silently into the dark water to begin their afternoon patrols. Their heavily armored tails sweep rhythmically through the tannin-stained channels, propelling them forward as they establish their hunting territories based purely on aggressive biomechanics. The manatees, too, awaken from their deep rest. The herds begin to travel again, moving steadily through the winding rivers in search of fresh, ungrazed vegetation. In the shallowest, muddiest edges of the marsh, a small brown marsh rabbit cautiously emerges from the dense cover. It twitches its ears, listening intently for danger as it nibbles on tender green shoots. It has every reason to be cautious. The predators are on the move. The Florida panther is awake, wading softly through the flooded transition zones, its eyes locked onto the movements in the tall grass. High above, riding the cooling thermal currents, a fierce osprey circles the open water. With razor-sharp focus, it spots a target beneath the surface. It hovers for a fraction of a second before diving, extending its deadly talons to snatch a meal from the depths. The waiting birds return to the shallows in full force, the great blue herons striking the water like a spear, perfectly adapted to exploit the renewed activity of the fish below. Beneath the surface, the massive snapping turtle acts as a crucial apex scavenger, aggressively tearing into a rotting fish carcass to keep the sandy bottoms clean. This complex web of life supports countless endemic species found nowhere else, all locked in an urgent preparation for the coming transition into darkness. The day is ending, and the transformation of the Everglades is nothing short of breathtaking. As 5:30 approaches, the fading, diffused twilight paints the sky in dusty, muted oranges and bruised, deepening blues. The towering, ancient cypress trees become stark, beautiful black silhouettes against the horizon. The great flocks of roseate spoonbills take to the air simultaneously, their vibrant pink wings contrasting brilliantly against the dimming sky as they fly toward their evening roosts. The air grows cooler, damper, and the soundscape begins to shift dramatically into a primal symphony. The daytime birds fall silent, replaced by the overwhelming, rhythmic chorus of millions of nocturnal insects and the deep, echoing croaks of the amphibian world. A raccoon peers cautiously from a hollowed-out tree trunk, its masked face sniffing the evening air, ready to begin its nightly scavenging. The transition from light to dark in this perfectly balanced amphibious ecosystem brings a palpable, heavy tension. For the gentle giants, it is a time to retreat. The Florida manatees sink heavily into the absolute deepest, darkest trenches of the riverbed. They seek the safety of the depths, removing themselves from the chaotic surface where the true masters of the night are taking control. The black, salty water of the estuary hides the immense American crocodile, entirely camouflaged by the deep shadows, waiting with infinite patience. And then the final light completely drains from the sky. It is 7 o'clock in the evening, and the pitch-black water becomes a mirror of the dark unknown. Suddenly, the surface is broken by a single, terrifyingly large ripple. The true apex predator has arrived. Across the vast, completely still expanse of the marsh lake, a chilling spectacle unfolds. The tapetum lucidum in the eyes of the American alligators catches the faintest ambient light, causing them to glow a bright, demonic red. First one, then another, until hundreds of glowing red eyes completely blanket the pitch-black water. They drift silently, menacingly, a mesmerizing and profoundly terrifying sea of red dots in the absolute darkness. This is the ultimate payoff of the river of grass. When the sun goes down, the prehistoric hunters rule entirely, proving that within this ancient, beautiful, and unforgiving wilderness, the raw and relentless mechanics of survival continue, unbroken, exactly as they have for millennia. As the river of grass surrenders to the night and these ancient reptiles reclaim the dark waters, another primeval ecosystem is just beginning its morning hunt. To witness the dawn chorus of the Amazon basin, where a very different apex predator reigns, click here to continue the journey.